This is one of those stories that, honestly, it just doesn't sound real. It's a story that starts with an absolutely horrific tragedy, but ends up being one of the most incredible tales of survival you will ever hear.
So picture this. It's Christmas Eve, 1971. You know, a time for family, for celebration. But high above the vast Peruvian rainforest, a storm is brewing. And for the people on one particular flight, everything is about to go terribly, terribly wrong.
At the heart of our story is a 17-year-old girl named Julianne Kopke. She and her mother were on what was supposed to be just a routine flight, a quick trip to get home for the holidays. And this is just heartbreaking. Right before everything happened, these were some of the last words Julianne said to her mother. Just a simple, hopeful thought, moments before the unimaginable. The flight was LANSA Flight 508, with 92 people on board. And here's a detail that just hangs over this entire story. The airline, LANSA, had a really bad reputation for its maintenance. And that fact was about to become a very, very big deal.
And then it happened. The pilots made a fateful decision to fly directly into a massive thunderstorm. That routine flight was about to become a complete catastrophe.
Imagine looking out the window and seeing lightning everywhere, and then suddenly a blinding white flash. The plane had been struck, a direct hit. That bolt of lightning hit a fuel tank on the right wing, and it didn't just start a fire. No, it erupted. A massive explosion that basically tore the wing clean off.
Without that wing, the plane was doomed. The whole structure just gave way, and the aircraft literally started to disintegrate piece by piece in midair. And after all that chaos, the noise, the tearing metal, there was just this sudden, terrifying silence. Julianne, still strapped into her seat, was thrown from the braking plane and into the open sky. Just try to wrap your head around this number. 3 kilometers. That is nearly 2 miles, straight down. She's just plummeting towards the jungle floor.
I mean, that's the question, right? A fall from that high? It should be impossible. By every law of physics, this should be the end of the story. But incredibly, it's not. So here's how this miracle actually happened. The row of seats she was in started spinning as it fell. It acted kind of like a maple seed or a little helicopter rotor, which slowed her down a lot. And then, the super dense canopy of the Amazon rainforest acted like a giant green safety net, cushioning the final impact. It was a 1 in a billion chance.
But believe it or not, surviving the fall was just the first miracle. Now she had a completely different challenge, staying alive in the Amazon rainforest, injured and totally alone.
Just let that sink in for a second. Of the 92 people on that plane, she was the only one, the only survivor of the crash itself. She was completely and utterly on her own.
When she finally came to on the jungle floor, her situation was just awful. She had a broken collarbone, deep gashes all over, she'd lost her glasses, and only had one shoe. And right away, the jungle started to attack. Insects laid eggs in her open wounds, which soon became infested.
But here's the thing. In the middle of all that terror and pain, she didn't panic. She remembered something her parents, who were both famous biologists, had taught her. A golden rule for survival. If you're lost in the jungle, find water, follow a stream. Because streams flow into rivers, and rivers eventually lead to people. So for 11 grueling days, she pushed forward. Her injuries got worse and worse. By the 10th day, her wounds were so badly infected, it must have seemed hopeless. But then, on day 11, that advice from her parents finally paid off. Her rescue marked the end of her ordeal in the jungle, but it was just the beginning of a whole new chapter. And this is where her story goes from being about survival to being about something so much more. Something about purpose. After waiting and walking for days, she stumbled upon a small hut and a boat, the first sign of another human being in 11 days. She waited there, and eventually 3 local lumber workers found her. They were so shocked, they thought she was a mythical water spirit, not a teenage girl who had fallen from the sky. Those men took her down the river to a village, and from there she was flown to a hospital. And of course, her story just exploded around the world. It was this unbelievable ray of light in what was an otherwise devastating tragedy. Now, what she did after she was rescued, this, to me, is the most amazing part of the whole thing. Most people would never want to set foot in a jungle again, right? But Julianne, she didn't just survive the jungle. She decided to become its guardian. She actually followed in her parents' footsteps. She became a biologist,
and she dedicated her entire career to studying the ecology of the Peruvian rainforest, the very same ecosystem that almost killed her. She turned her trauma into her life's purpose. It's just incredible. When you really look at it, Julianne Kopka's story is about so much more than a lucky fall. It's a powerful reminder of what people are capable of. It's about knowledge, it's about resilience, and it's about the absolutely unshakable strength of the human spirit.